thank you for taking that time out of the day as educators and parents. And I hope you find this a useful way to navigate conversations about children and online gaming. And as we know from educators, not only do you have to speak to students about their online space and the gaming that they do, you also often have to educate parents about that space as well. So hopefully we'll give you enough knowledge to be able to do that within this session. Just to remind those who have not been with us before, I'm Nina Bawal. I'm the co-founder of Cyberlight, and you will see my partner Michelle pop up later to help us answer some of your questions at the end, if we have the time for that. At Cyberlight, we have launched the Internet Independent Framework, a curriculum you can bring into your school or your community. Feel free to download it on the website, and it will guide you on how do you start these conversations about cyber safety and AI literacy within your infrastructure. And for the case of this, I'm going to be talking about an infrastructure as a school, talking to you as you are educators, but everyone is welcome to come and listen. Now, the structure really relies on us to understand that all children need a very mature and education that comes up with them in age level around the 6 core components of cyber safety, being digital identity, privacy information security, digital media literacy, cybercrime, online relationships, and cyberbullying. Today, we're going to go through that and talk about those issues and parts of the pie through the lens of the gaming community online. And if you do have children that game, you will understand that there are many concerns we have. And I want you to reflect upon what concerns you have when we're talking about gaming. Now, when I talk about concerns, I am doing so as a parent of 3. One of my children is a prophetic gamer. He absolutely enjoys the gaming world. And so we are part of it, but we are part of it understanding and communicating cyber safety throughout his journey. And one of the things I worry about is the violence and the inappropriate content that can come to him, even when I have tried as hard as I can to safeguard. And for me as well, one of the things that I have to deal with all of the time is that screen time, the amount of time he would like to be on a game for because of the habit forming tendencies of gaming. And that's what we will go into. So let's start with looking at what games are our children on? What are we talking about when we talk about the gaming world? Now, as children get older, they do go on more sophisticated games where they are leveling up and in maybe darker scenarios, such as the Call of Duty. But when we're talking about gaming and the universal approach to gaming, these are the top 5 games within the APAC region, India and Singapore, that are being used the most. So Roblox is a platform, which I will go into in more detail later, that our children are using it. In fact, 3 out of 4 children in America are on Roblox. And I don't think that's any different to the communities that we work in Asia. That is being shown to be true here as well. It is something that has engaged our children and they love being on. And then we have Minecraft, which belongs to Microsoft, very much like Lego online. They are building, they're creating. Then we have Brawl Stars, Clash of Clans, and which words would you choose? Which would you choose? These are where our children spend a lot of our times when we talk about gaming. And at Cyberlight, we really do recognize there are many positives to gaming. One of the things we've seen through the research is often our boys and our neurodivergent communities find a gaming space an incredibly safe space to be. If we reflect on why that might be, it's a space where they get as much time as they want to level up. They get to practice. There's a familiarity to it. They know what is expected of them. They know where they're going. They know what the rules are. There's boundaries and there's a place where they can play and understand that. They can come into the playground and talk about their gaming life. They love talking about Roblox and Fortnite, etc. And it really strengthens that relationship. They often talk about going home and being friends together and playing together. It can help with people's mental health for the reasons that I mentioned before. It puts children into the zone where that they can learn and they can create, and it does boost connectivity. I often say that you will never meet a CEO in 10 years' time in the tech space who wasn't a gamer. It is intuitive and fundamental to many and somewhere where they grow. So we're not saying do not be on games in any of this presentation. It is about being sure we know what the cyber risk is and how, as educators, we can talk on that and support children through that. So where shall we start? First of all, we're going to one central feature of our pie, which is cyberbullying and abuse. Now, while all of the parts of the wheel can be taught with a gaming lens on it, this is the one that comes up the most as the thing we worry about and that we see a lot within gaming communities. Let me give you some of the stats that we have out there. 60% of young gamers have experienced abuse and harassment. If you think about that, think of your classroom, and if you ask for 70% of the children to stand up, that's how many children are experiencing this. It's something that is prevalent and is the norm rather than something incredibly outside of that. 52% have been targeted based on their race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. And 44% of them report experience stalking in an online multiplayer game. And some of those figures here also showing themselves out. 60% of teenagers feel harassed. 2 in 5 have seen name calling happening, and 23% of teens had been sent threatening or aggressive messages. Getting those figures to sink in really shows that cyberbullying in all communities has become an upward trend and not coming down. And often this is where, as schools and educators, we are pulled into the conversation. While parenting has a strong role in our children's online world, cyberbullying comes to the schools because often it's peer-to-peer. When you're at school level, it's those in the classroom that may be those who are reaching out and bullying a victim or a child that you know. What we need to consider is, first of all, as a school, how do you define cyberbullying? Sorry, swallowing my words there. And what do you define to parents when you will intervene about cases of cyberbullying? Sometimes I hear it is not taken seriously because it's considered not as serious as bullying in the offline world. But the statistics and the mental health data that we have, it hurts and is as profound to a child as if they were physically abused. And we have seen, unfortunately, in some of the communities and countries we work with, that we have one suicidal child a week who is coming up and having a conversation about cyberbullying. So how we define it is something that is repeated and causes emotional harm. This is very different to digital drama, where someone comes into the school and talks about someone being mean to them on WhatsApp for a day, commenting on their school performance or commenting about some drama in the school. This has been in schools forever. That's something that you have the power and the knowledge how to deal with as educators. And very much as you go through years from 13 to 16, you will see those type of digital dramas pop up all the time. We want to intervene when we see that it's repeated behavior that's effectively causing emotional harm. And we need people to understand, and we need to tell students that this is growing and the stats are so large due to the fact that a lot of people are hiding behind the anonymity of being online. They know that there's an incredible power imbalance online, and if they want to attack one person, they can. One of the platforms, and this by no means is the only platform, but as we have a limited time today, I just want to talk about one platform at a time. One of the platforms where we see a lot of cyberbullying happening is Discord. Now, let me explain Discord to you in a bit of a clearer way so you understand what the platform is. For those who are my age, I call it a chat room. It's where you go into a server together with a bunch of individuals who may have the same hobbies or interests as you do. Actually, we've seen it used very wisely within schools. Some of the schools we work with in Singapore have Discord rooms for children to go and discuss studying, to ask the older children what they would do in certain situations, and it's been incredibly effective. If, like the real world, you know which room your student is in and who they are communicating to, and you are moderating it, it is a great resource to be able to use. However, where children are getting into trouble is when they obtain a URL link of a room that they've not been invited to by someone they know through Pinterest, through Twitter, through threads. They may get hold of these URLs, join the room, and then they're in a toxic community where they may be seeing a lot of bullying happening, people spreading links with pornography and etc., etc. So this is a space where your children are, they may be utilizing. You want to have a discussion about how they're using it and what type of language or behaviors they're seeing in there. Now, what can we do as educators when we look at those cyberbullying figures? How do we start driving them downwards and ensuring that our school has made sure we have a stake in the game and said, look, we really want to be at the forefront of this and having conversations about how we can be bringing this down. So first of all, one of the things we've worked with schools and seen work really effectively is giving the information to students about what to do if they feel they're being cyberbullied. They must take a screenshot and they must present those screenshots to you when they're coming to you with a cyberbullying case. This is because sometimes it's very hard for children to articulate what's happening. And if we have that evidence, we can ensure that we are taking the appropriate action. We want to be able to give them the knowledge that they can block and report bullies. Going back to what I just said about power imbalance, sometimes a victim can feel that they cannot delete the bully because of the power they have over them. And we need to ensure them that most of the apps they are working with give them the ability to block anyone. Much like the real world, where you enter a room where you're safe, you sit down and you feel like you can relax, it's the same with the cyber world. If you're coming into your app and you do not feel safe, you do feel incredibly anxious being there, you can block and get rid of these people. The other thing to do as educators is to ensure that the school has a trusted network of adults they can come who understand cyberbullying, do not always blame the phone or the victim, and have the knowledge of how they can help. And I'll refer to next week's webinar series where we'll be talking about how to be that trusted adult, and we can give you more information and details of the steps you can take if you decide to take that role up. And the other thing we found really effective, as you know, if you've worked with CyberLight, we believe strongly in peer-to-peer support. We want students to be able to help each other. Only 11% of cyberbullying cases ever come to adults at all. And so one of the things to do and to ensure within your community is to build an upstander community where when someone sees something is wrong, that they can report it. Consider as a school having an anonymous email address or a box in reception where people can alert you to things that may be happening on their online space so that children can ask for help on behalf of others. Having upstander programs as well really makes sure that we've understood we are a school that will take this seriously and we desire you to come forward and have the conversation. If as a school you don't know about cyberbullying in gaming, it's because you haven't got the communication channel correct. It is not because it's not happening. So we urge you to have a look at that. One of the conversations to also have with the students is to think critically and independently of the herd. Often cyberbullying cases continue within the gaming platform because people pile on to each other. If someone is being taken down, other people within the game may pile on and take that individual down as well. So to consider each and every individual's role within the community is incredibly important. I'm now going to move to another part of our wheel from the Internet Independent Framework, and this is cybercrime. Now, one of the things, if you have children yourself, you will know our children are constantly getting into phishing traps within communities such as Roblox and Fortnite. If you do have your device in front of you, I do urge you to just type in free Roblox Cash or free V-Bucks. These are the commodities that you trade in on these platforms, and you'll see hundreds of phishing attacks there. Now, what do I mean by phishing attacks? Phishing refers to when somebody is out there fishing for information to trap the child. So much like a fisherman will take a rod and try and fish for a fish, fishers online are fishing for information. How they do this is they entrap our children by working with the habit forming behavior of games. As parents, we don't always spend money on our children's games, and our children are always hankering to level up, to get more coins, Robux, etc. They will click on things that are free rewards, free Roblox, free Fortnite vouchers, anything they can have. They are also looking for people to play with as well. So people who are looking as if they're friendly will be playing with them, who are saying to them, look, I'll swap you something within the game. And children will fall for this because they are looking for that commodity within their game. And unfortunately, we see so many phishing attacks in Roblox, and a lot of parents have attached their credit cards to these games. And we've seen thousands and thousands of dollars being stolen from the family through phishing attacks online. It's important that our children recognize phishing attacks. Phishing exploits children's trust and desire for rare items. We need them to critically think. If people aren't giving you free money or free items while they're out in the world, why would they be doing it within the game? A massive scale, over 3 million phishing attempts occurred in 2024. And that's just looking at Minecraft and Roblox. We can see phishing attacks going very, very young as well, even in preschool games under the age of 5. So we really need to take this incredibly seriously. Why it is so rampant is the need for free stuff, the feeling of being rewarded. Gaming really works on the psychology of rewarding our children. And if they feel that they can continuously be rewarded by simple, convenient links, by giving out the family password or giving their address over, they will do it because they critically haven't thought through, maybe this isn't somebody we should be trusting. The other issue we have is many of these games are being used as babysitters. And so students are sitting at home without any supervision. So where in the real world we may correct them or ask them critical questions like, does that look safe? Does it look correct? Students have not been asked or posed that question at all. So they haven't considered that something they should look at. And often children are spending hours in games. In fact, children over the age of 13 can game up to 3 to 5 hours a day. So the trust level in the game and the technology is very, very high. So they believe that others on that game may have the same motivation as them, which, as we know as adults, is not true. When phishing happens in games, it's not just a loss of an account. Families can feel real-time money loss, sometimes hundreds of dollars in charges. What can we do as teachers? We need to teach some very simple things. First of all, to pause. It's a very innocent thing to say, but before you do anything online, before you do something new on your gaming channel, or invite someone new into your gaming platform, or click on something, pause and think before they click. What's the motivation behind this click? Why would somebody be giving me this? Very simple questions, as if there was an adult in the room, needs to become very intuitive for them. If something is too good to be true, they need to be able to critically think, why would someone offer me a free computer? How would somebody have the ability to give me so many free Roblox or swap my pet, which is of little value, for a higher value pet? Why would someone do that? And one of the things that we need to ensure is muscle memory in our children, the children of the AI revolution, is to check and verify all sources. Well, when I was younger, sourcing was something that we learnt when we got to 13 plus. As primary school teachers as well, sourcing is incredibly important. With the advent of AI, with hackers understanding they can use AI to sound like a child now as well, children need to really think through the information they're receiving through their gaming platforms. We're going to move on, as I can see our time is limited, to another part and another wheel. If you remember back to our Internet Independent Framework, do go have a look on cyberlight.org if it's not in front of you. We have part of our framework, digital well-being. And we work in this space very much with our parent community as well to understand how do we safeguard our children's emotional and mental health. What happens when children are in games and they see disturbing content? If you do have a moment, I do ask you to probably go over to YouTube and just Googling your children's or your students' favorite conversational piece or favorite influencer or game they like playing, and then click 12 times away from that. And what you'll find is it's very easy to access very disturbing content. Now, these content pieces are sometimes now made from AI, and they are there to capture children's attention. Often when you're driving down a road and you see a car crash, hopefully it's not often actually, but if you see it, you'll see a crowd appears. There's a natural need to see or watch things that disturb us. And our students are seeing more and more violent gaming, more toxic chat and gore, and it's becoming something they are consuming often. So an example of that is Roblox. As I promised earlier, I'll just tell you a bit more about how Roblox works if you're not on the platform or have not entered it yet. Roblox is a bit like the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. It is actually a platform where people can come and host their games. Some of the games are of positive motivation, and the children really enjoy playing them. They have no ill intent behind them, and they can be incredibly educational and inspiring. There are other developers who actually are out there to disturb or cause issues with children. They're often, a hacker who's 16, who's trying out their new skills. They come up with content to disturb children. And you can see the Roblox condo games. Please feel free to Google some of these and see what they are. Accounts as young as 10 could access sexual themed spaces. If they have not had their Roblox account monitored, they can go into any room and see many, many different things. They are stumbling across harmful content, and I urge you to ask your students, have you ever seen anything that worries you online? If they're younger students, and if they're older, things that have disturbed you online, and they will open up and talk about how this consumption is being fed to them a lot. Now, what can be done, and we can talk to your parents on this, and do invite them to our free parent webinars as they come. You can set up parent controls and ensure children aren't entering that. Now, as teachers and students, you do, and as they're your students, you will not always have the ability to do that. So some of the things you need to watch out for, and then alert parents if you see anything worrying, is when violence and jokes are out of context for their age. I see this with my own children when they are picking up language or they're picking up mannerisms that I know are a trend online. They can be fun, they can be enjoyable, but sometimes you think, what have you seen to make you think that? Or why are you acting out in that way? So just be aware of things like that. A child who's suddenly withdrawing, they may be consuming this content too much and not realizing how to get themselves out of it. And someone who has incredibly strong mood swings. To end, I also want to speak on gaming addiction. You may recognize gaming addiction and want to bring this up with the parents, and you're not too sure when or how. We can help that conversation a bit more, and feel free to link to me later. But what we have to do is first consider what gaming addiction in there is. It's impaired control over gaming. Children are prioritizing gaming over all other activities, and it's become very negative. They're unable to play in the playground or socialize outside, and all they want to do is go back to what they perceive as their safe gaming space. Please watch out for teachers when your children come in very, very tired. They look withdrawn, they look exhausted, and you can see that they're not resting because they are gaming after the hours that they should be. And you are in your right to bring this up and see how you can support that child, as many children don't realize that they've got themselves into incredibly negative space. So what you can do once you notice changes in your student behavior, come forward and understand what their relationship is with their gaming community or their games. Provide safe spaces for conversation. Don't be judgmental. It's very easy for this technology to take over. Our students are young. They can be easily manipulated by the game, or they can be easily manipulated by those who have bad motivation within that community. We have to support them through this. They are victims to the scenario because everybody enters a game wanting to have fun, to enjoy that space. No one is there for negative intent when they arrive. So we need to support them to get them back to the safe spaces they started in, and reinforce that critical thinking. That is really the answer to all cyber safety and AI literacy as we grow in this community as well. We need children to understand how to critically think through what they're viewing from a very young age. Children as young as 5 years old are on Roblox. There is no age too young to start conversations. I'd like to end on letting you know the next 3 webinars we have coming up. 2 webinars, sorry. We have one on tackling, oh no, 3, sorry. One on trusted adults, how we can support in the cyberbullying, as I touched on it before. The other is on tackling screen time. Please do invite your parents to that. We'd love to have them there. If this is not a great time in the day for them to come, we can record it and send it to the school as well. And the last one is, how can you start teaching cyber safety within your schools? Thank you very much. I would invite you to send us feedback and communicate what you'd like to hear more on. And if you have any questions, please do feel free to share them now. We have a few minutes, and please do help with the feedback poll that's just popped up for me there. Michelle, do we have any questions that we can dive into? I can't see anything on my side.
Not at the moment. I don't see any questions, but we do still have 2 minutes that we can spare. I see some people are answering the feedback poll, so thank you very much. This is also an opportunity for you to tell us what you would like to see next in our upcoming webinar so that we can plan accordingly and answer your needs. Since we don't have any questions come through, I think we will just wrap it up there. We'll leave the poll still open for the next 30 seconds or so, but I think that will conclude the end of our webinar today. Thank you all so much for participating. Thank you, Nina, for sharing with us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.